Welcome to Conversations from Stritch. Today is Thursday, October 19th. I'm Dr. David Livingston, and as always, I'm joined by Dr. Christopher Sent, our provost. I do want to start today's show just saying how devastated we were to learn about the murder of Wadea Al-Fayoum and the stabbing of his mother over the weekend in the neighboring community of Plainfield. As a Lasallian community committed to inclusion, we unequivocally denounce all hate crimes, including those targeting Muslims and Palestinians. This is a tragedy that we pray for the family, the entire Muslim community here and around the globe. We know that our students with connections to Israel and Palestine have been worrying about loved ones in the region. During this time of conflict and war, Lewis University reaffirms its commitment to justice, peace, and to active solidarity with all victims. We condemn the taking of all innocent lives and offer our deepest condolences to all those suffering heartbreak and grief. I want to reaffirm our commitment to create an educational environment that embraces diversity, equity, and inclusion through our sanctified zone. In some ways connected to this, we are in the midst of the Peace Teach-In here at Lewis. We take a week every year, part of a week every year, to talk about peace and justice issues. It's an annual tradition sponsored by the Grow Institute and the Peace and Justice Studies program. The Peace Teach-In features a range of presentations and panels by faculty, students, and community members on themes of peace and justice, culminating in the Grow Memorial Lecture. The 2023 Peace Teach-In seeks to explore the interdisciplinary and intersectional complexities of climate change and to seek responses together that will grow environmental justice and create greater health equity in our communities, nation, and world. Events have been taking place yesterday and today, and tonight's culminating event is a talk by Leah Thomas, author of The Intersectional Environmentalist. We had another great community hour yesterday, partly supplemented by the Peace Teach-In about efforts to create health equity in the Fairmont community. We had a lunch and learn about gut health. I need that for sure. A training on domestic violence prevention. We had a jam session in the theater lobby, and as always, fun on the green and Wednesday Mass. And yesterday we had Meet the Firms, where hundreds of our students met with different firms that are connected to the College of Business, giving them an opportunity to talk to their future employers. I did want to mention once again, and I will say that I was talking to our Vice President for Advancement last night, and she said we've had, just since Monday, 50 more people sign up to attend the Signum Fidei event, which is at the House of Blues this weekend. It supports our mission fund. It is also honoring Mary DeGraw this weekend, a longtime student advocate who recently retired from Lewis. So we're really excited. We expect 350 to 400 people show up. Chris and I will be there for sure, and we're looking forward to welcoming a whole host of alumni, trustees, faculty, staff. Some of our students will be there talking about their stories, so it should be a great weekend.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the event, and it's such a community event for our alums, our people who work at Lewis, and it's just a really fun night to get together and hang out and talk about the Mission Fund. And in this particular one, we get to talk about Mary DeGraw, which is always and hear from Mary DeGraw,
yes,
which is really special. So
and a few hours of dancing.
And dancing, yeah,
that's right. Involved. So that's always good.
That's right. Great band.
Great band.
Same band we had last year.
Yes.
Who was super good, talented, and fun. So a few things are happening in the news. The Lewis University Executive Coaching Program has been reaccredited as a Level 2 coach training provider through the International Coaching Federation, also known as ICF. The ICF Level 2 accreditation signifies a pinnacle of excellence in coach training, denoting that Lewis University's program meets the really rigorous standards, including the program's depth, quality, and real-world applicability for executives. Students who complete the coaching micro-credential within the College of Business's organizational leadership program have the opportunity to become ICF credentialed coaches, which is a great benefit of that program. Two Lewis University College of Education and Social Sciences students presented at the 2023 Midwestern Criminal Justice Association's annual meeting on September 28th and 29th in Chicago. Daisy Colazzo presented a paper called Sentiment Towards Firearm Safety Education in Prenatal and Pediatric Settings, and Jacob Michik presented the relationship between law, strengths, and gun deaths. Dr. Hannah Klein, Associate Professor of Justice Law and Public Safety Studies, joined the two students at the conference as their mentor and representative. So congratulations to all three of them. Brooks Middle School hosted its first Boys Leadership and Growth Conference in collaboration with Lewis on October 5th. The day of inspiration, mentorship, and personal growth brought together educators, community leaders, and 8th grade male students. One of the highlights of the conference was a question and answer session facilitated by Dr. Robert Harris, Assistant Professor of Organizational Leadership at Lewis. The Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity member guided a conversation with two male Lewis University students, also members of the fraternity, who shared their experiences and insights on resilience and success. They shared practical strategies and anecdotes to inspire the middle school boys to step into leadership roles within their schools, families, and communities. So really great public service to our local community by both Lewis students and faculty. Dr. Harris is also the director of our project management program. We've had him here on the show before, and this next announcement relates to him as well. PMI Chicagoland and Lewis University are joining forces to host a community day event called The Future Project Management and You. So PMI is an organization in Chicago, and that stands for Project Management Institute. The event is designed for the current and next generation of project, program, and portfolio management professionals, and it will be held from 8 to 3 on November 4th at our Oak Brook campus. People who come will take a deep dive into the evolving landscape of project management, highlighting the integration of emerging technologies and novel strategies, gaining insights from industry experts on topics like AI-driven management tools, megatrends, and new methods. And it's been, the event has caught the attention of many people in the community, which we love. Governor Pritzker recognized the conference as an impact maker in the region, and Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson declared that November 4th is Community Day in Chicago in honor of the PMI and Lewis event. So we're excited about that. Pleased that the Philip Lynch Theater season is underway and going into its second weekend of The Little Prince, adapted for the stage by Rick Cummins and John Scular. There will be performances through this weekend, starting tomorrow night. The play is recommended for all ages. We saw it last weekend, right?
Great.
Last Thursday. The production is based on the book by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, which tells the story of a world-weary and disenchanted aviator whose fallen plane strands him in the Sahara Desert, where he meets a mysterious and wise figure, the Little Prince.
Yes.
Recommend the book as well as the play. And finally, the Wadsworth Gallery is currently featuring work by Rosie Petrie, a multidisciplinary artist fusing portraiture and storytelling as an active witness. She's been an artist in residence at the Bell Hooks Center and Pfister Hotel, and a Knoll Emerging Artist Fellow, and Mildred Harpole Artist of the Year. So her work is on display through October 26th, when the gallery will host a closing reception and talk from 7 to 9 p.m. that night, October 26th. So those last two things are about events coming up, and then you're going to share some more.
I have a few more events to talk. I just would say that, as you said, so it's been a really busy week here, for sure. We do have those artistic events at the theater. I thought the production was really great, and we get to see it on the last night that they're quote unquote, going through their final rehearsal, so to speak. But it was really impressive. So if the show's this weekend or anything like that, it's great. So a few things we'll put up on the screen here. Just a reminder that it is Peace Teach-In Week. Our Dean of Coast, Chris White, is going to be talking this afternoon from 2 to 3:15. But we also have a tech open house this afternoon from 3 to 5. That's over in Philip Lynch. My sense of that is, and just, if you're interested in theater, but you don't want to be a theater major and you're not sure what actually happens behind the scenes, but you like the idea of maybe playing behind the curtain, that is a great opportunity. We already mentioned that the GROW lecture tonight will be Leah Thomas. And then we have women's volleyball that's hosting Indianapolis this weekend. So the Muslim Association is having a bonfire this weekend as well, 5 to 8 on Saturday night. And then, we have Mass on Sunday. We also have a few other events next week. We're excited to have United join us on campus to celebrate the launch of the Aviate program. That is a new partnership that we have. We might ask one of our guests a little about that later. We do have a bingo night next week in the evening. We have a sports management club that has an event on the 24th, and Art Club is also hosting the watercolor painting next week in the evening. So a lot of events next week. I do want to say a little bit about athletics that are coming up. So we do have some athletic events that are happening off campus. Men's tennis is traveling to Purdue Northwest. Women's tennis playing at Northern. That's impressive. I hope they have that's a tough schedule against a D1 team. Men's and women's golf are going down to Kentucky. Hopefully the weather's better there. And then we have men's and women's cross country that'll compete in the GLVC championships in Bolivar, Missouri. So lots going on. Most of that off campus this weekend. So most of our teams are traveling. Some weekends we have, it seems like 20 events athletically on campus, and some weeks we have 1 or 2 because most of the teams are traveling. This weekend, more of our teams are traveling. We have some exciting guests with us to talk about what I consider a really creative. We've talked in the past about interdisciplinarity and how it is that a liberal arts and professional education prepares people for the world. So I think that's part of what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really excited about our topic today. I am also excited about, I think it's women's volleyball. Did you say Friday night? Whiteout. Yeah, so just, I was doing something else when I just wanted to make sure that was out there because that's a big event every year.
Just to say, I should have said this earlier, we had Coach Laura Lee Smith on last week, and she was telling us this last weekend was going to be a big weekend with the crossover. Oh my
gosh, it was so good.
And she said, boy, this is going to make a difference in terms of where we end the season, in terms of whether we get into the national tournament. And they went.
They won everything.
3-0.
Really
very impressive. Very impressive. All right, I'll let you get to your introduction.
So we're really excited to welcome 4 guests. So we got to get going. I'm going to introduce all 4 of them, and then we'll get to talking. So first, we have 2 professors and 2 students. 2 professors first. Dr. Erik Baker has been teaching aviation and transportation at Lewis since 2016 and has been the program director of our Master's in Aviation and Transportation since 2018. He brings with him 20 years in naval aviation, piloting helicopters, cargo planes, and business jets worldwide. He's flown commercially and is an experienced aviation safety professional. He teaches safety and management, crew resource management, fatigue risk management, and research methods. Kristin Callahan is an associate professor and chair of art and design. She holds an MFA in animation from the Rochester Institute of Technology and is a PhD candidate at Northern. She's going to be rooting for Lewis this weekend. Her research focuses on social responsibility in graphic design, practice, and education. Student, Orla Claspy, is a senior design major with concentration in graphic design and minor in marketing. And Shantan Brown is a senior design major with a concentration in graphic design. So welcome to all of you.
Yeah, thank you all for joining us.
Thank you.
And did I pronounce your name right? I didn't.
Oh, Shantan.
Shantan.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I didn't have a chance to meet you before we started, so welcome to all of you. The email about this said a little bit about what we're talking about, but I think it would be good to just start with what we're talking about. And so how did this, as President Livingston said, it's a collaboration between aviation and design. But maybe Eric, we might start with you. Like, how did this project come about, and
Sure.
why?
And thank you for having us on. So this is fun for us, for Kristin and I to talk about this project. So in aviation, aviation safety specifically, we teach safety management. One of the pillars of safety management is what we call safety promotion. And so safety promotion is basically getting the word out about safety. And so, being in our department and walking around and kind of listening to the students and the instructors, I said, hey, we need some promotive materials, some marketing. And so my friendship with Dr. Callahan and, I said, hey, is this something that you guys can do? And so that started the effort, and then I'll let Kristin describe her part of it. So
I teach a class called Collaborative Design Studio, and we work with clients in and outside of the university. And so when Eric came to us with that, came to me with that idea, I'm like, oh, it's perfect for my collab students to work on, because it gives them the opportunity to learn about something new and design something that will help, I guess, help the community to function better. And so creating this awareness of safety and this sort of culture of awareness was the goal. And so Orla and Sean both are part of the class, and they are some of the leaders that help to produce projects like this.
Wonderful.
All right, so I want to ask a follow-up question. I guess this is primarily for Eric, but I think it's going to turn to the three of you as designers. So my sense is that you're talking about people like me. So I fly a decent amount, and I don't really listen once they start their pitch on be safe, right? Put this over your head. These are where the exits are. I don't know if that's what you're talking about, or safety when we're teaching students here, like when you're walking in the hangar. Right. But I assume it's all the same. Like so many of us in the world, and it reminds me of the, I actually think the United thing is pretty creative when they, when you get on, and they try to get your attention because they're doing all these weird things. Like little dinosaurs popping up on golf courses and stuff like that. But my sense is that this project is really about that challenge, and I'd love to hear you talk about it more, Eric, because I would say the aviation industry is the gold, platinum, whatever you want to set as the standard in terms of safety, bar none, better than any other industry on the planet, especially in the United States. So keeping that up is difficult because we get jaded. Maybe that's what I guess I'm asking is it being jaded about safety because we're just like, yeah, of course, and you're trying to say, how do we break into your consciousness?
Sure, and that's a great question and clarification. So when I was talking about safety promotion, it was actually on the practitioner side, our students and our aviation professionals.
All right.
So as we're doing the work that we do, whether it's flying planes or fixing planes or working in the air traffic control tower, safety, obviously, we always talk about safety being job number one, but really, job number one is moving people and cargo around, right?
Sure.
Yeah, so, so these safety promotional materials, and we came up with this poster design, multiple poster designs, that is to try to remind and highlight certain safety issues that we want to be.
The jaded principle applies, right? If I'm an employee and I'm doing the maintenance,
I guess I would use the word complacency.
Complacency, fair.
Yeah.
Right. I know I'm supposed to do this.
Like, what are some of the reasons why it's important? And could maybe another question before we talk about the solution is like how does graphic illustrations impact the way people learn things?
Right.
Because I imagine pilots have checklists or everyone working in relationship to aviation and transportation. They've memorized things, they have written materials, but this sounds like another approach to.
I guess you could borrow from psychology as well. Yeah. So and you're right, aviation has been the most safe, complex, dynamic industry for 100 years. Yes. And we have, training and procedures and checklists and all these standardization materials. So I think Part of it is, breaking into this subconscious culture and subconscious psychology, and so having colorful reminders, even like the funny videos that you watch on aircraft, they're more effective because they're more impactful,
Yeah,
right?
that's what I was thinking.
yeah.
And again, I totally get that. Your job is to train professionals, and they do an amazing job. But you do have to constantly shift things around a little bit to remind them.
Yep. And when we talk about safety culture, there's 5 kind of flavors or layers, I guess, and one of them is informed culture. So do your people know what the rules are? And then we have this, we talk about reporting culture. Do they feel compelled to report, safety issues? And another one is learned. Are they continually learning about stuff? So these are a way to kind of instill or remind all of us about these concepts.
Yeah. So, graphic designers, how do you do this?
Well, and so the idea was to create, I guess, this visual culture within the building. So you have these posters around the space where students are going to be, and you've located them in a variety of places where it feels like students actually congregate. And yeah, exactly. And so when you're seeing these things over and over and over again, it just becomes, like you're saying, it's ingrained subconsciously. And we're working with students, and they need to be reminded. They need that constant, oh yes, I have to report something, and why should I report something? And when you're like, oh, I was walking in the class and I saw this poster 100 times, it comes to mind when something pops up. So it creates that connection, and it's not just text; it's visuals, and so the bright visuals help to bring you. Oh,
So there we go.
Yeah, and so we went and saw the space yesterday, and there was a lot of students just around, and there was a group of 3 hanging out, and it's there within the community, and they're all branded. Well, the visual design is all interconnected, so it should make you think of the other posters. So it's all part of the same thing. Yeah.
Before we get into Eric, the details, some people watching may not be aware that both in design and in aviation, a huge part of the teaching is practice, and so that those classrooms that we just saw images of are classrooms, but they're also right down the hall from where the actual training is happening.
Yes.
With facilities and with flight and so on. So they're placed there kind of like they would be placed in a work environment.
Yes.
Where their students are really about to go take off or work on a plane, or where those safety standards need to be upheld and
So can
practiced.
you talk a little bit about the design process? So I'm gonna take a little bit of what was just on a poster.
Oh, can I say one thing?
Please,
Sorry,
please. No, go ahead.
I forgot.
Yeah.
There's a email at the bottom of the screen here, askus@lewis.edu. And if you want to ask a question about of any of our guests or anything that we're talking about, please use that email right now and send that question in, and we can get it asked live. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can also use the email, and we're happy to forward the question to our guests or try to get it answered for you if you use it. So thank you, and we look forward to hearing the questions.
Yes. So I was going to ask, so on one of the posters that was just up, there was a line on the bottom of this poster that said, "I don't want to be a snitch." So I'm going to use that just as an example of the collaboration between the 2 groups. So I assume, Eric, you had some things you wanted to be communicated, and you might not have quoted them exactly. Like, I don't know if that was an exact quote or it was an idea of a designer. Like, here's a thing we have. Some of our students don't want to say something about another student who's not being as effective in terms of their safety when they're putting their tools away or whatever it is that they're doing. So could you talk about that process between, I guess, as you talk about them, client and designer, and how that actually works? So I don't know, Eric, maybe, because you'd be the starting point, I guess, right? You're saying, this is what I want to accomplish. So talk about that.
Sure. And I just want to make another point about the poster's purpose is not just a reminder to students, but it's also an affirmation of the values of the culture, right? So if we put this poster up, it means that we as leaders and management, we value this concept. And so then as an employee or student, you're going to embody that.
Totally makes sense.
So when I think I had a couple faculty members, a couple flight instructors, and we got together and said, what are the issues that you would like to see? We're going to create these posters. And these safety posters are very common in the industry. So it's something that we, as aviation, we're used to them. Yeah. So we had a couple of topics, and then we basically fed them to Kristin's class. And then it was probably 2, 3, multiple semesters, and this is a class that continues. So
so this is a course that the students take 3 times. Okay. And so they have varying levels of leadership roles. And so we've got 2 of our art directors with us today. Okay. And so as they start with the course, they're a junior graphic designer, so they're just learning the ropes, and then they move up to actually leading groups of students and then conversing with their clients. Right. And so this actually started like 2 years ago, I think. And so the group of students that started working on it was different than the ones that finished it, because we had to continue working with the client and developing these ideas. And so when we first started, we were talking about posters, but also other ideas, other ways of how can we bring safety to the forefront in the culture. And so my students were brainstorming ideas that were different than the posters. Yes. Yep. And we're putting some ideas about creating some interactive and collaborative types of experiences. But this was a project that could be done a little more. It had an identity, right? Yeah, versus a little bit more conceptual. And so my students will start off by contacting the client and getting an idea of what their goals and objectives are. Setting up meetings. You had meetings with our students, probably quite a few.
A lot.
Yeah, exactly. And so there's this point of understanding. So they have to start by understanding what
the desire is.
What the desire is, and so of the client, but then also of their target audience. Oh, sure. And so I'm pretty sure, did we do a survey?
We did have some student surveys.
We had a few student surveys out there. We had some students talking with other aviation students to interview them about, just how they feel about, safety within, I guess at that point in time, because that helps us to understand how to communicate to them. Sure. And so from there, we take that information to help develop a visual aesthetic. Right. A big idea was to try to make sure it was something that was going to be seen and looked at, because we are very blinded, to all the stuff that's around us.
So can I ask Sean Tom? Could you talk to me about your experience a little bit? What is this like? What did you learn? It sounds like now you're in that kind of leadership role. So what did you learn about that part of it, and maybe working with some other students who were juniors? But just in general, maybe some takeaways from it.
So taking the class in general is basically gets us ready for real life experiences. When I first took the class, I was very quiet and to myself, just because you don't want to be interfering with anyone else's ideas, and it just feels like a freshman all over again. That's the best way to really put it. And as the class went on, my second semester, I just took it upon myself to just become more active in the class, maybe speaking out a little bit more. And then now I'm a art director, and I'm just even more comfortable with speaking with clients, speaking with other students in general.
So can you tell me what an art director does?
Yeah, so we basically manage over the projects, all of the projects in the class, and we try to basically just help the class go as smooth as possible, and especially dealing with different students. Some students take it for 1 semester. If depending on your degree or your concentration, you'll take it for 3 semesters. So as you get to that director's stage, you will just want to basically have that control, and I don't want to use the words control, but just have that control and be comfortable enough to have that experience to manage the class, and just help connect with the clients and other students. So
that's great. Thank you. Thank you.
And so, Orla, you want to talk a little bit about your experience of going through the class? And the different levels?
Yeah, honestly, really similar to Sean, as she was saying about how she started out a little bit more timid. I think this class is a really good opportunity for you to develop like confidence in your own design, because it like teaches you to present, get feedback, not just from your peers, but also from clients, which is really awesome. Preparing you for the real world when you go meet real clients, which is really awesome. Like, I personally feel like I've grown a lot taking the class. I was very quiet at the beginning, and now as an art director, I'm definitely like leading the class a lot more and like presenting my ideas, pitching ideas, which is really awesome. So I think overall the main thing is like confidence in your own work.
Yeah.
That it's really helped with.
And
So,
am I right that,
Yeah.
I mean, what I'm picturing is that the class, or parts of the class, is like a team, like a design team that you're leading, and different students have different roles in the project. Is that right? So you're kind of managing that as the art director.
You start out as a junior graphic designer, and then you go to a graphic designer and then art director. So we're all kind of just working together basically, but the main difference is the art directors are kind of like telling the juniors and the graphic designers like what, like organizing the clients and how to communicate with them.
And Kristin, I'm assuming that's similar to how a design firm works.
Yeah, that's the whole point of the class, is to simulate that. Yeah, and so they're juggling multiple projects. And so the aviation project is one of many that we were working on and are continuing to work on. So the idea is this semester we're going to create a whole new batch of these to focus on other issues that your faculty think are important. And so these two will be leading that second iteration. Well, exactly.
So,
Did you want to talk about the other projects your team is working on across campus?
Well, Orla and Sean, which ones are we working on?
So we just finished up the Little Prince project, which is in production, or is it being displayed now?
It is,
Which was
that was great.
I love that.
Yeah.
poster.
Yeah.
That
So
design.
animation
great.
and projections,
That's awesome.
illustrations. Yeah.
We're currently working on doing like visual signage for the Student Wellness Center in the basement of Mother Teresa.
Nice.
We're just like putting up signage to kind of direct students down to where the offices are, obviously. And
It's
we're
hard to find.
yes, it can be a little challenging. So we're doing that, and then we're also working with.
environmental posters.
Oh yeah, we're doing environmental posters for LaSalle High School.
Oh, nice.
Yes. And so that is with brother. I can't remember his name. But so a
One of the
huge.
brothers, yeah.
Yes, one of the brothers.
a
Actually,
prince.
you sent the project to us.
I
And-
did.
Yes, you did. Yes, you
Brother
did.
Gus.
Gus, okay, there we go. Brother Gus. There we go.
What I do all day long is like, I have no idea how to do
Push
that, but I
these
push
things.
this there and
Yep,
this there.
yep. And so we're continuing
Yeah,
to work with him.
that's awesome.
And so.
So I'd like to ask the two of you, Orlin, you mentioned this, but so confidence, it feels like, comes from both success and failure, and that the failure isn't the end game. So I'm interested if either of you could talk about an experience where you brought an idea to a client, could have been Erik's group or somebody else, and they were like, that is horrible, there's no way we're going to use that, and how you move on from that. And then maybe an experience where you brought an idea forward and they were like, that is so awesome. Because I assume you have both of them, right? In like taking this course multiple times and being a designer in general.
Yeah, I guess I have had like definitely experiences with that. One example I remember I did a logo that the client didn't necessarily like, but getting feedback from the entire class and your peers is definitely a confidence boost, because while it may not be a bad design, the client may just not want it for what they are envisioning, but then getting feedback from people like can still like lift you up. They're like, oh no, like it was a good design, it just doesn't necessarily fit with what we're looking for. So I guess like just like not like beating yourself down about that kind of thing, and being like, okay, it's just not their vision, but it could still be like somebody else's vision. And maybe like figuring out how you could adapt that for like someone else that wants something similar. But then when obviously they appreciate a design, like it is a really good feeling, and you're like, okay, good, like I knew what they wanted, I was able to do it. But I think Kristin's really good about helping us, like if it doesn't work for something, we can put it somewhere else, which has been like really great.
Great.
Because I just think that's such a, going back to like the real world,
Yeah.
you know, when you're a decision maker, you get these proposals, we'll bring in 3 companies, it doesn't matter whether they're going to build a building or they want to, whatever they want to do, and we got 3 or 4 or 5 of them, and we're going to reject 3 out of 4, right? So 3 out of 4, and they may be great designs. And I think that's part of going into this world is Like, you know, it's like, I don't know, going up to bat in baseball, you know, you're going to strike out more than you actually hit. You're not going to hit a home run every time.
Yeah.
And how to, because confidence, it does feel to me like, I just love the use of that word, that you're learning confidence, because I think if our graduates go out and they have actual experience and they feel confident, any team wants that person. They don't want the person who's going to like crumble after the first time they get rejected, right? They want to have somebody who's resilient, and I think you've talked about
And so
that.
now I want to ask
Yeah.
Sean a similar, like a follow-up to that, which is, are you learning how to sell your idea? Because we don't always pick the best one.
No,
you know,
we
we try
don't.
to,
It's true.
but sometimes a lot of it, in my experience, is how the designer presents it to us.
Yes.
Yeah, we actually recently this past semester had a similar situation where we were contacted by the Mokina Police Department, and they wanted to rebrand their a patch, I believe.
Oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
rebrand the patch on the shoulder, right? So we were all hands on deck with that. Like everyone in the class, so we had to get this done. We did have a deadline for it, and we had a bunch of designs, and that's just one of many experiences that you go through when, like, especially showing the class, like, your patch, your design, and things like that. And you may feel confident about your patch, or you feel confident about your design, and then, you know, you take a vote on with the class,
Yeah.
and maybe your patch doesn't get picked, or maybe it does get picked, and you know, it boosts your confidence, or it may even lower it. And and we actually sent the designs over to the police department, and it wasn't really anything bad about it necessarily, but they just decided to, you know, go a different route with it. And that doesn't mean that it was a failure either.
Right.
You know, it was like, it was a learning experience where we had to just pivot and, you know, go on to the next thing. So I think that's the biggest part about it, is to just basically have memory of a goldfish. I want to put it like that. Because if it gets rejected or anything like that, you can't get, you know, sad, or you can't get down about it. We just have to basically move on to the next thing.
Yeah, well, thinking about presentation, for that client, Mokina is a small town. You know, there's not a lot of distinguishing factors, you know, related to some of the other places in the area, and so they're taught to have rationale for all of the decisions that they make, but they also have to communicate that to their clients. And so, do you remember what some of the patches were like? What were some of the things that we were trying to?
Yeah, so we were trying to incorporate a lot of things. I think we had like a turtle for one of the patches. We also, because the Metra train rides through Mokina, yeah, so we were trying to incorporate the train and just
Knowledge of the town.
Yes, yeah. So it was like we want to bring like a history to it, but we also want to bring an identity. So, you know, that was probably like the most challenging part, especially with presenting the idea.
But selling the idea and tying it to, I think one of the ones that they were very looked at favorably was one where it was, we had a barn, a very iconic barn in the town, in a more historic train, and you know, it's about telling the story of the design. And so, you know, they are practicing presenting constantly, and so that's part of it. We have to sell our ideas and why this is valuable and why this one will work over something else. And so, it's not just.
Yeah. So Eric, how was that for your team or students and team? Like where did you play into that process, that back and forth?
I have an idea.
Yeah,
Maybe,
go ahead.
I don't know if it's possible. We didn't plan this, but maybe we could just like look at one of them, and then we could talk
Oh,
through
sure,
the
sure.
steps.
Cool.
You know,
Yeah,
like what
we can put it up
the
on the
problem
screen.
was that you
Sure,
were
sure.
beginning with, and I don't know if you
Do
want
you
to pick
have
one,
the
Eric.
one with the runway and the deer?
Oh no, I don't have it.
Oh,
I don't know
okay,
what
no.
that is.
All right.
That sounds
So-
great.
Oh, that does
That
sound
sounds like
great.
the beginning of a
Is that
joke.
like a plane running into a deer? Is that what we have?
Runway incursions, right?
All right, let's go with
I know
this
these
one.
Let's go
things.
with this.
Yeah.
So, you know, the topic was, you know, make sure you check the weather before you go
Right,
fly. You know, and there are certain ways that we do that, and there are certain products that you're supposed to get, you know, an update. And so this one, we actually didn't have, you know, that was the idea, and then, you know, with all these different iterations and meetings with the students, you know, and it was kind of fun. It's almost like a writer's room, you know, in my mind, because there's you know, maybe 10 of you, and you all have different ideas, and you put them all together, and you see. And so we would have to do things like, you know, okay, that plane, we need to, you know, that's not really the plane that we fly. Like, let's change it so it's the plane that we fly. And so there was a lot of learning from your end, and also
things that designers wouldn't know, you know, unless they lived the job or, you know, lived the...
But they would bring things like, well, you know, these colors or this font, you know, really pops or really, you know, ties in with the other, you know, posters. And so, you know, how many words is too many words, right? And
That seems really important.
Seems really important.
I always want to have like 700 words and they tell me 7. That's the problem.
That's why we do
You're trying to
45
communicate
minutes.
something very quickly, right?
It's very,
Yeah.
I think it's such a difficult, and it's such an interesting topic for designers versus writers. You know, I mean, when you're used to writing text, you think, oh, I gotta like nuance this and put a couple more semicolons in, and then you say, you get 5 words. Like,
Well,
5 words.
Yeah, yeah. Well, because attention spans are
Of
lower,
course,
and if you want
of
something to
course.
stick
It
in your
totally
head
makes
and like
sense,
be
yeah.
recalled, you want something, you know, snappy.
Yes.
And exactly. And so, it's
So how
just-
many designs were there initially for this one weather-oriented?
I don't really remember that precisely, but we, you know, usually what would happen is they would design and you know, kind of decide, you know, usually there'd be a few people that would have the stronger, it seems like I only had 2 or 3 options when they finally came to me
Really
for a poster.
Totally consistent with my whole life experience
Yeah.
of getting,
And I think that's good.
you
When
choose
make a
this one
decision,
or
don't
this
give me
one.
17.
We don't
Give
show
me
you
right,
everything, you know, like we're not, I always feel like we're not being shown a huge amount of work because that would be really complicated decision-making wise.
Right. And I think a lot of the work was internal in their group, right? And then we probably had about, you know, maybe 8 topics, and 5 of them were, you know, good enough to print, and then we're gonna, you know, the great thing was so we printed these over the, you know, at the end of the school year, May, June, we had them printed and we hung them up over the summer. And just the feedback has just been incredible. You know, since everyone came, they're like, "These are awesome. We
By
need more of
students
them."
and faculty?
Students and faculty. Yeah, we need more of them. So that's why I said, "Please, can we make more?"
phase
You know,
2.
so, yeah.
That's great.
It's really exciting.
We're getting a little
We are
tight on
getting short,
time,
yeah.
so I thought we might just ask, we've heard a lot about majors that you both are responsible for. So we've learned a lot about design, but do you want to give us, Kristin, a little overview of the design? Or
Yeah. So design has 3 concentrations. These 2 are graphic designers. So graphic design, it sort of incorporates print design, interaction design, and motion design. So it has all those pieces, and then has the leadership component. So these students get to take this class 3 times and start learning how to direct a team and then also interface with clients. We also have 2 other concentrations, interaction design and motion design. Interaction design focuses mostly on user experience and user interface design, so for app development, web development, and then motion design is focused on motion graphics and animation in the context of marketing and advertising. And
so
then,
just for example, that Little Prince, the digital poster for Little Prince incorporates motion design.
Yeah, and so I think it was Sean's group that was working on this project, and so there's some drawings that they had to animate because otherwise they would have to be drawn by humans every single performance. And we also had some animations of trees, and then also just background projections, so all that stuff.
I was thinking
You're talking about a moving poster.
I thought I was thinking about the advertisement, but you're talking
No,
about the play.
it's
actual
actually in the
play.
play.
I totally know what you're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah,
that was
yeah,
so
that was
cool.
awesome.
Yeah, so
I
that
loved
was
that
was these folks.
I love that.
I don't want to ruin anything, but the hat.
It's a
is-
big part of the.
it's
It's
a
a big part of the play.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
It is. It's a
I haven't
huge part of the
seen
play. It's a very important part of the play. Yes,
Yeah.
your
Beautiful.
design and your motion design. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
And
so cool.
Eric, what about your,
So tell us
specific
about the master's
majors?
degree, because
Yeah.
we talk about flight and,
Yeah,
and
but the
specific
maintenance a lot, but we
program you
don't.
have.
So we have a master's degree. It's a Master of Science in Aviation, and we like to say and Transportation. We're fairly aviation centric, but we have a lot of adjunct faculty from the trucking, shipping, rail part of the side. So this master's degree is somewhat of a management degree. So a lot of the students who we have a lot of students that come in from the industry, adult learners, adult students that want to take the next step up. And so this
They're
is
already employed in,
Yes.
in the aviation
Yes.
industry in one way or another.
right. So this degree will, I like to tell students, you might have a silo of knowledge from your undergrad major, but now with this degree, you can kind of get more broad and learn how to, maybe delve into some other parts of the industry that you weren't specifically trained for as a leader, manager, supervisor, so decision maker. That's
awesome.
the
And
that's
I
the
know
idea.
you were kind of representing the whole department in the safety effort, but I can imagine being a leader in aviation obviously involves safety.
Yes,
Or
that's
the
a
responsibility for safety.
right. That's a big safety management is even unfolding into risk management.
Right.
So
Makes sense.
so it's like there's so many things. You're just managing all these risks,
Yeah.
right?
Sure.
Financial
Yeah.
risk or infrastructure risk or safety risk. So yeah.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, it's very good. I need to take the class. No.
I know.
We talk about risk all the time. That's
Yeah.
my only
Yeah.
thing. So I think we probably need to wrap up.
Yes.
Any last comments from anybody? All right. Well, thank you so much for
so nice
Thank
to
thanks
you
so
for
much
having
for
us.
being here. This
Yeah.
was it was fascinating.
Really
I didn't
inspiring.
I did not know about this, and I'm even
Oh,
more
well, let me
taken
say-
with
can
the
I say
play.
something?
Yeah, please. Of course you can.
This is a great example of an interdisciplinary collaboration, not only among colleagues, as Erik said, but also it's a way that actual professional development training in aviation, making people practice the safety standards that they're being held to in their professions, connects to the profession of design. And I love the way that I know I said it when we were talking about it, but I love that the fact that both both sides coming together is about practicing what you do in the industry, as well as learning and being creative and understanding the theory behind it all. But it's a really great example. So thank you for practicing what our mission says in such a great way.
Yeah. Well, thanks again, everybody, and thank you to our audience for being here today with us, or watching online, or listening on your phone, or whatever you're doing. We're so grateful. We hope you have a great rest of the week. Enjoy the time, the fall weather. Join us at Signum Fidei. Many blessings to you and all those you love.